Okay, in today's video, we're going to talk about how much information does my landing page basically need on it in order to make the most money for my PPC campaigns. This information will also apply to landing pages for any traffic source or any other marketing purpose that you could create, by the way. Another way for the algorithm here, the way to phrase this question in which I'm going to answer the question is how long or how short should my landing page be? I'm old enough now and been in the marketing game long enough now to have heard the whole, infamous question of how long should my sales letter be? It used to be before even they had landing pages, out in the snail mail, you'd send the letters, and how long that letter would be, it was a debate. What's the right length? And the answer and this is universally kind of, the top guys would say, it's as long as it needs to be, okay? That's the answer. It's not what people want to hear, but basically, you can hear actually, there's a man named, the top copywriter basically ever, Gary Halbert, said that he's had, basically speaking, the longer you make it, okay, the better it would perform. Why? Because basically, it makes logical sense. There's always going to be different people that ask different questions, which is the big thing that people overlook. There is no one size fits all with this stuff. So if you provide 16 pages versus 8, technically, you're going to be scaring off, or you're basically going to leave less people unsatisfied with the information that they needed to feel comfortable to buy. And if you provide 32 pages versus 16, same thing. Basically, what he said was you could keep going. After a while, you run out of stuff to talk about, but there is technically no limit as long as the information is still relevant to what you're selling and helping the user out there. Okay. On the flip side, if you start going off the Pluto and you start talking about crap that nobody cares about, and it's just basically going to get them off, you're always trying to get them from point A to point B. Point A, which maybe in market, maybe not, and definitely not knowing if they should buy your product at the very least or service, to the point where they're buying, without going too much off of on a tangent. Anyway, why am I telling you all this stuff? This all applies to landing pages, which is the digital equivalent of the same thing that people had figured out the answer to this question a long time ago. I'm going to tell you how much information that you need to provide. The great thing about the digital version of this is there is no limit to how much information we can provide. If we want to provide 10,000 words of copy on our landing page, we can do it. We can link our landing page to other landing pages or other pages with more enhanced content. So right off the bat, more information works, but there's something we could do here with these landing pages that you couldn't do with that other page before, which is you can link an initial page to other pages of content so that certain people who want more information can always get it. And there's a specific way and technique I'm going to mention to you here today that I use on our landing pages, and what I found out through rigorous testing works to maximize conversion rates, and which I use every time now, that you could use for your own purposes, but also obviously to understand how to maximize conversion rates and find that just right amount of information, if you will, on your landing page so you can walk away from this video with the answer to the question. Okay? So the higher up in the sales funnel the prospective customer or client that you're trying to go after is when you're marketing to them, the more info you generally will need to maximize the amount of money you're going to make from that particular prospective customer or client. So when you're out, unlike the old school stuff, when somebody is, if we're doing search engine advertising, where that person is, where their head's at, where are they at in terms of how close they are to making a purchase. There's people who can make searches like, what's the best way to lose weight? And that person's way away from making a product purchase. That person doesn't even know they're going to buy something yet, which they are, or potentially they are, and we'll just say they are, versus discount codes for Nutra Slim, weight loss shake. Okay, so and there's everything in between, and so because you have the ability to understand where that person is in the sales funnel, which they start up at the top, they gain information, they become more sure about their purchase, and then they make the purchase. You could provide the right information to the right person at the right time to optimize the amount of money you're going to make and make more of the terms work for you overall, given that, there's more people searching for, there's more potential customers going after all the different types of people there versus just a small segment, which, kind of are in the middle, which most people go after. Or if they do go after all the terms, what do? They try to say the same thing to everybody, and generally or rarely will that actually work. There is a way to go after everybody and get everybody, but you have to go through a certain process, which I'm going to show you here. So if you offer too little information, you're wasting money on your landing pages. Why? Like I was saying before, there's certain minimum information that certain people need to know to feel comfortable to make a purchase, and if you don't give it to them, they're not making a purchase. They're digging their heels in, they're not going to buy, period. You provide too much information, however, it's also going to make you, at the very least, less money or not any money, because you're not covering all your costs, product cost, service cost, overhead, all that stuff, and ad spend. And so you're basically, it's not viable at all. You're going to run out of money, and you're dead in the water. So you provide too much information. Why does that hurt your conversion rates? Because on the flip side, there's a book called, you can search for it. I mentioned this on my channel several times now. It's called Don't Make Me Think. And so what you're always trying to do with your landing pages, first and foremost, before anything else, is try to figure out, yes, what the consumer wants, but how are we going to get them to get what they want without having to think any harder than they need to? People go through life on autopilot, even when they're doing the research for something that they want information on. When they're reading stuff, they're only half reading it, and as they get to your site, they're skimming it to see if it is going to be a waste of their time or not. And they're using not the higher level of the brain, basically. And so what happens is, if they're looking for XYZ, and the more that they have to spend effort in finding that it's there, the less sales you're going to make, because people will give up on you before they know that it's there. And the harder, some people will give up sooner than others, but if that type of person searching for XYZ keyword isn't finding it basically within a second of hitting your page, you're going to start losing customers. The longer it takes, the more you're going to lose. Lose too many, that keyword can't be profitable for you, okay? So we got to find, yes, it's a trick to finding out how much information needs to be provided, but there's a clear and simple way, which, since everybody's different people want different information, different people want more information than others, that you can optimize for everybody, at least that will search for the same keyword on that page, that you'll be able to make that keyword work and just mostly get all the sales that you could possibly get out of it, okay? Given that yes, that you want to customize an experience based upon how high or low in the funnel they are at, the sales funnel they're at, and which therefore by looking at what they're actually searching for, are they looking for information, are they looking for a last minute discount, but within those keywords there, catering an experience for each type of person who searches for that keyword, and yes, they will. There's a lot of people who search for that keyword that are, the people that search for that keyword are very much different from each other. And so you can provide the information to the people who want it and not have it be there or in the way for people who don't want it, which are going to be running on autopilot, not get what they want like a little child right away and then leave, and then you wasting your money, and enough so that you're not going to be able to make that keyword work. So you cannot use the same page for everything. That's number one. You got to have you got to group your keywords together based upon where the person is in the funnel. And a lot of times, if you want to go get you want to make the most money in your space, you're going to have a page for, you know, each keyword basically. And I know that sounds crazy. You don't have to start out there. Or if you know, what I would say is instead of doing everything half-assed, you do a landing page for each keyword, but you only target 5 keywords. You just do it right. That way you know for sure you'll make money and then move on to the next 5 and the next 5. That's more my style. I'm not going to, you know, shotgun blast everything. I'm going to put the effort in. I know that it'll for sure work, and then move on and then stack on more stuff later on. So you can't use the same page for everything. And another, for ads, generally speaking, somebody who clicks on an ad, by the way, from a search ad, they're going to want a different experience than a organic user wants, okay? So you have to keep in mind, not only a lot of times for your ads to work, you're going to have a page, or to make an individual keyword work, you're going to have a page just for that keyword that gives that type of user what they want. If they search for that same thing and click on an organic listing, that same page that worked on paid won't work for organic. And if you're doing a Facebook ad, very likely are you going to need a different page layout that provides less information or more information, or a Google display ad, or a remarketing ad, so on and so forth. So the traffic source matters, and within paid, the keyword matters based upon where they're at, okay? So I think I got the point across here just to set up the whole platform of where you need to, the preliminary information you need to understand going into this to know how long a landing page or how much information a landing page needs in it or on it. So here's a technique that I use. If I'm going to go into a market and I know, respectively, let's just say I have unlimited budget and I want every customer I possibly can get in that entire market that'll work and is feasible and will deliver a return. I'm going to start with all the content that the user needs to buy. So imagine it like this. Door-to-door salespeople. I don't know if you've ever had this or not, but there's people that would sell pots and pans door-to-door. And what would happen is that person who comes to your door, they would obviously have some tricks to get their foot into the door. And once they're in there, though, they had a sales process that they used. They had to assume that you knew nothing about pots and pans. Some people did, some people don't, and they would feel you out based upon how much you would know. But respectively, they were prepared to go through the whole thing. And they would look for feedback from the user so they would know to skip over steps, okay? But they basically had to know how to take that person from basically knowing nothing else besides what a pot is to the point where they know that this pot is amazing, and you know stuff that you didn't know before about pots that you now know, and that you now know that you want, okay? So this is very similar to that. There's different people who want more information, less information, like I said, and there's a whole bunch of different, beyond that, of use cases of why they actually want it on top of everything else. So what I'll do is I'll find out all the user personas of why people use this product or service, okay? And then I'm going to start writing content that will explain to each one of those main customer types why basically what we sell as a solution fixes the problem that they have, okay? And then also the solution that we have, basically more so what about it, so you understand more so not only that it'll fix the problem that that type of customer has, but also just a little bit more about what else it does. And then I'll prepare that content in advance. So instead of just looking at a landing page and saying, how long does it need to be? Well, it's like saying how long is a piece of string. Each person needs different information here. But if we start out with figuring out, what are the main types of people that are buying, i.e. the type of reasons why they're buying, and then writing a sales letter or a pitch to each one of those people. Now when I go look at my keywords, I can match my pitch for each one of those people to the type of person, the persona, if you will, the keyword that matches with the persona there. And so you have to match the keyword to the persona, and then based upon how high in the funnel that person likely is, we have to provide more information and less the closer to a purchase they are, to make sure that we're not providing too much. So you start out writing a pitch to each type of person that would buy. You have all this content now. Now you're just deciding how much or how little to put on the landing page, and then you'll, for each basic keyword or type of traffic that you have, in order to optimize the amount of conversions you can make from each keyword, each traffic source. You'll rearrange the content for wherever they are in the sales process, depending if they need more or less content. And with that, you will be able to, theoretically then in that potential case, if you start out and you go through this process here, get every customer that's possible to get at a profit in your market, because you've optimized for every customer that's basically out there. And again, this stuff takes a while, but technically if you wanted every customer and you had to start to do it immediately, this is what you would do, or what I would do. So anyway, I know that's a little bit arbitrary here, so I'm going to go through an example of explaining more so how this actually works in reality, okay? So this is my drawing of a sales funnel. At the top, you have people farther away from a purchase. Down at the bottom, they're exhibiting signs of being closer to a purchase, okay? Well, at the very top of the sales funnel, or the funnel in your market, people are going to be looking for questions that are pertaining to and have the words how, where, when, how much involved in it. How do I decide to buy a shoe for my dress? Or when do I wear this type of shoe versus this type of shoe? Or where do I wear this type of shoe? So you get the idea. They're asking information. They may know that they're going to buy yet, maybe not. But what they're looking for, and yeah, if we're trying to get every customer in this market, then we want to get that portion of the market that if we don't go there, a lot of times they'll get diverted by somebody else and they'll be somebody else's customer. And we'll be satisfied, I guess, with less customers in that market. But if we want them all, we provide a landing page for these people too. Also, we provide a landing page for people looking for customer review. So somebody else has done the hard work of selling to somebody, then they told somebody about it, then they search for the reviews on that product. And we know our product's better than that competitor product. So now we're gonna get in front of that person. So when they're looking for reviews for that product, meaning they're exhibiting signs that they have that particular problem, we're gonna say why we're better at solving that problem than them. So anyway, people basically looking for information. What you'll do is if somebody's saying, where do I wear a red shoe at? This is a super simple, market application, just to keep, I know this is a kind of a weird example, but stay with me here. Where do I wear a red shoe at? Well, then you have an ad that shows up for that search there. Where you wear red shoes at. They click on the ad and you don't take them right away to a place where they can buy red shoes. That's what lazy people do. And they probably don't make any money, and they probably don't track their ads, so they don't know it works, and they're just constantly, money's going to down a black dark hole, and for however long years potentially, they don't catch on to it a lot of times. But assuming then we'll want that customer, because we want them all, where to wear red shoes at, you start out at the top of the page right away explaining where you wear red shoes at. You just give them, speak in the first person. There's a lot of places where you wear red shoes at, most of the people who wear red shoes you give them a nice friendly answer. Once you've done that, now you've got their little bit of their trust. It doesn't have to be a huge long article. It can be 200-300 words, 500 words answer to that question. Nobody else in most markets are going to advertise and do this for them. So if you're the one person who gives them the answer the easiest, guess what? They appreciate it. Now you're set up for the kill, basically. Then you can go into what's important to look for. So when you wear a red shoe to a basketball game, you want to make sure to have a red shoe with the reddish blue tint, because that works the best when, to get attention at a basketball game. So, and guess what? We sell red shoes with the bluest tint. That's how you go from general interest to now a buying opportunity or a lead. Okay, so that's the transition that you do. And you'll do that for every question that somebody asks about the product or services you buy, all across the board. Again, it takes a long time, so you just do a few at a time. Then when they get to that part, okay, we have the red shoes with the bluest tint for sale. They have great reviews, by the way, social proof. Okay, you got my attention. Their goal should always be, I wasn't intending to read this huge landing page, but you got my attention, so I read a little bit longer, and I read a little bit longer, and I read a little bit longer, and you hook them in one line at a time. You don't indicate that you're looking to get them to buy, but by the time they get to the end of it, they do want to buy. It's a seduction. So they see you got good reviews. Okay, I'm interested. What's the features of this red shoe with the bluish tint that I can, obviously should be able to get good success of at wearing it to a basketball game to get attention. You would get into and I'm sure seen this on different landing pages before. There's a reason why it's like this, because general people have conceded on this being the best way of doing things. At the top of a landing page, generally speaking, you have the product or service up there. Then if they know what they're doing, they'll have the reviews down below it. And that product or service will have a headline and a subheadline. Headline stating what it is, and the subheadline stating, what the main benefit of it is, which you can do once you get to the mid part of this page after you've answered the user's question. But then later on, you'll see it'll talk about one feature of that product. And then there'll be another section, it'll talk about the second feature. And then there'll be another section, if we keep going down, I know you can't see down here, it'll talk about the third feature of the product until all the main features are covered there, okay? Now, a lot of people won't give a crap about all the features. Some people will. That's why it's tricky to do this stuff, because if you provide no information on that, you'll lose people. If you provide too much information, you'll lose people. So what's the solution to this? The solution is you have a product and a small blurb about feature one, so if they don't care about features, they just scroll past it right away. It's easy to scroll past it. If they do want to know more about that feature, there's a link that says to learn more about feature, click here. And then you link that to a full blog post or full article that just talks about that feature in depth so far that 99% of people will be satisfied with the information you gave about that feature, if that feature was an interest to them, or they're just a really technical, inquisitive person. They got, no job and whatever, time on their hands. But when you do that, and you provide a link on each of the sections that have for each section that covers each individual main feature. Okay? So if they need more information, they all know how to get it. If they don't need it, it's too easy to scroll past it, and it's barely an inconvenience to scroll past it. On top of that, okay, going back to my example here, we think that they're going to wear this shoe to the basketball game because that's what they searched for. We convinced them our shoe is the best for that application. And then we start talking about our shoe and what the other great things are about it. I'll get an FAQ section that goes right after the features that say, to know if you're still unsure the shoe is right for you, here's an FAQ. And there'll be like a question here. I don't show the answers. I just show the question. I have to drop down to see the answer. Question. And then if you have any other questions about to make sure that the shoe is right for you, click here. They go to a secondary page again to see 100 questions that you've answered. So no matter what the hell they could possibly be asking that to make sure that this shoe is perfect for them, it's there. But you don't put them all on the same page because, again, you try to cover the top 5 or 10 in that FAQ section, but that's it. So you don't bog people down. You can have information there that's not pertinent to most people as long as it's minimal and people know and they can easily scroll past it. So Because people, even though they were asking question A, doesn't mean that's the only question they have. So as you get them excited about the product, they're thinking, yeah, I want to buy, but I still have this other question. That's why you hit them about that time. And an FAQ is just the perfect way to get all the rest of the questions you have answered. Because if you think about it, in a sales context, like if you're going to go in and buy a car, you're going to look at the cars. Once you find the car that you have, you're going to ask the salesperson all these questions, right? That's the time that you need to be answering the questions. And what if the salesperson could only answer 10 questions? You would lose some people, right? Obviously, you don't answer my question that makes me feel at ease that this car is going to be right for me, for the type of commutes that I have and the crap I have to haul in the back. I'm not buying it. So you got to spend the time to answer all those questions and put it in the FAQ. And or have a phone number that says, if you have any questions that are not here, give me a call. Live 24/7 support from a red shoe expert, which would be I would recommend doing both. You could technically do one or the other, but that's minimum, one or the other. So you get the idea there. Now, if they go to the FAQ page, because the top 5 or 10 questions you had there, wasn't there what they were concerned about, they go to the FAQ page and they go, okay, that's what I need to know. They click on it. Technically, instead of just doing a drop down again, you take them to another page, which starts out like we were talking about here, where it answers the question. Once the question is answered, we don't just hope that they find and click back, and go back to our product sales page again. It goes right into, here's the product, here's the reviews, here's the features, okay? And then they get down to the bottom. And guess what? If they still have another question before, they're like, I don't know if I want to buy yet because I have another question. They can go through again and again and again that same exact process until they're confident every possible question they have is answered. They get past the FAQ section because they don't have any questions, and the FAQ section should say, literally like I said, not sure if this product is right for you? So mentally they're thinking, no, I know it's right for me, and if so, they can quickly scroll past it. Once you get past that, then you're going to go into testimonials, and then you're going to make them an offer. Too many people skip the offer. You got to be able to build urgency and scarcity to have maximum conversion rates. These red shoes are 10% off March only for our St. Patrick's Day sale, which if you're not in the US, St. Patrick's Day is something that happens in March every year. So they know what they're getting, why they're getting it, and that you are only offering it for that month. So if I don't buy it now, I'm going to have to pay more later. I want to buy it, so I'm not going to procrastinate. I'm not rewarded for procrastinating. Procrastination kills sales. And then you have a link that says, go to the order page. They click on it, and they go to the regular, product page, or they click, fill out the information to talk to a salesperson if it's a service or whatever. You need to customize whatever. But that's the end of the funnel there, or in the end of the sales page that you're taking people to. As a side note, if you have other distributors, you can list at the bottom. If you'd rather buy it from one of our distributors like Amazon, click here and you can take them directly to that product page. Just not a lot of people like doing that. I just thought I would mention that. And the reason why I mention this is because now that you understand kind of what the process is, so that you can optimize for pretty much every person, whether they have lots of questions or basically none here, there actually is people who have no questions. So in the case that somebody is looking for the reviews of your product, let's say they went through this, but they weren't quite ready to buy yet because they waited to get paid, which is a common thing. Then later on, they type in your product, but they're like, I wonder if I should check his reviews. Just last minute doubt they have in their mind. They go type in your product name and then reviews. You have an ad that says, see product reviews. And it's on your page, and then you list all the reviews that you've gotten from other people on that page. So all the information is convenient for the user. But you don't make the user go through all this stuff. All you have then is the information about the reviews, because they're way at the bottom of the funnel. If this person typed in your product and discount codes, well, you send them to a page, and that's all it's on it is a discount code and then a way to buy. If they are looking for your product in Amazon, you have a page that has an ad, and I've actually done this quite a bit. Get 10% off at Amazon. They click on your ad. They see a discount code for Amazon there, and then a link to Amazon where the product is listed on Amazon. You have to look at the keyword and not just shove everybody to the same page. You actually have to look at what they're trying to get from you, and you got to be able to cater to them, give them what they want. So if they want something simple at the end of the process, you just give them that. You don't bog them down with all this crap. If they're at the stage where they just want information, you give them information. You spend the time to answer the most common 50 to 100 questions in a conversational tone, and you create ads for each one of them. And if they ask about a question about concern 1, you take them to a page that starts off answering concern 1, and then you go into you do a very delicate handoff to why you want to buy this product or service if you had this particular concern, which we know you have because you searched for that by keyword or by name, in which we mentioned on the ad that we would actually give you free advice about that particular question or concern that they had. And usually people, if they get to the bottom of the funnel, they're there. But if they get to the bottom of the funnel and they have another question that they thought of, and they go to Google, you send them back through here again, and they just keep going through it. Sometimes they'll come out, they'll have to go through it again. But if you've got every particular question covered and ad set up for each one of those things, it doesn't matter how many times they go back to Google, you've got them into the same optimized process each time, okay? If they're looking just to buy, buy red shoes, well, they're not asking a question. You can send them to a page that doesn't have this introductory text section I talked about where it talks in the conversational tone. It just goes straight to showing the product of the red shoes and the reviews, and then just goes from talking about the red shoes and what the features are down. So you have to look at the keyword and see what they want. Do they want information? Do they want to buy something? Do they want reviews, or do they want a discount code or something like that? And if so, they either get a very shallow page, a medium-sized page, or a very long page. And regardless of how they get in there, whether they are asking a question or they were looking to buy something outright, you give the person an out to read more information about what they care about, or skip past all of that and just buy, or go read an article about the question they have if they still have a question and they aren't ready to buy yet, like I talked about. So this is I call it like a greased chute. You're just creating a chute, and at any point in the process, they are not ready to proceed. There's a way that you're still going to have their attention. They just have to go look at something else. But when they go look at that other thing, it goes right back to the process where they were at again. Basically, in order to and to sum all this up, to maximize the amount of money that can be made from PPC and search advertising thereof, is everybody could tell you that you need high conversion rates. Well, high conversion rates are linked to low bounce rates, or in other words, a low rate of which people will go back to Google and click on something else. Well, how do you minimize that? Well, what you do is you make sure, yes, you optimize, you look at the keyword and you give them as close to as what they want as possible. You create a bunch of, different pages for different, obviously things that they want, but not always will they just go through your defined process that you want, because different people that's, like going back to the beginning, like I said, that search for the same keyword, there's a whole bunch of different people who search for that single keyword. So as they go through it, if they don't want to keep going through your grease chute anymore, you let them out for however long that they need out, but you send them to a resource that's already on your page. It's almost like what salespeople will do commonly, which is annoying, but if you go to the car dealership and you get through the process and you got your questions answered and you say, I don't know, I need to talk to my wife, guess what they do? They say, oh, okay, what's your wife's number? We'll talk to her right now. That's the equivalent of what I just mentioned before. If they want to, it's like too good. And they always are doubting themselves because they don't want, they have racking up debt on their credit card is something that they've done a lot of. And they're looking for a reason to kind of think it over. Okay, that's fine. Let's cover every possible thing that they could think of and provide them another piece of content that will talk to them like as if we were talking to them in person. Read that over, and then we'll assume when they're done reading it, because we have, again, a transition for whatever answer that they wanted, or goes right into the sales process again. And that's what good salespeople do. They will talk to you. If you get stuck at a certain point, they go back up to the top of their process, and then they keep going through it. And they just repeat that as many times as possible or as necessary until they're able to get all the way through to it without any objections, and then you buy. So this is the digital equivalent of this. So anyway, I know that's not a real simple answer to this question, but this is the best way I can explain it. And this is what I do on all our campaigns. Not always, obviously, will the client let me write content for every possible question imaginable and run ads for everything. If I were my e-commerce company, I would. If I was offering a B2C service, I would. B2B is also the same thing, but for reasons I won't get into really on this video, don't necessarily do it so much for our firm. Namely, we pick our clients. They don't necessarily pick us, this being the short answer to that. But regardless of the situation, we make a page. I'm always relying on secondary resources on the site to answer questions for people who want more information without bothering the people who don't want that information, but also not neglecting to provide it for the people who want it, just not on the primary page we're taking people to from our campaigns ads. Hope you liked this video. I have a lot of other videos on this channel about other PPC money-making strategies and topics like this. You should check those out if you haven't seen any of them from my channel before. I have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog, which has step-by-step instructions on how to build campaigns that are guaranteed to work and make money. If you'd like to see information along those lines, I have it as well. If you have any questions about what I mentioned here today, leave me a comment down below, anything that you think I should have covered or otherwise. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel within a day or two. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you were able to pull something out of this that's going to help you make more money from your campaigns, and I wish to see you next time.